Praise the Lord, everybody. Good evening and welcome to TNT. And as you can see, I have a special guest. We're so glad to be with you, and we hope and pray all of you are safe and everything's going well with you, and you've had a great week so far. And we are excited about tonight. You get a chance to answer your questions. And we are grateful to all of you that are tuning in, and you have a chance to tell somebody, tell all your friends, tell them right now to go, text somebody, call somebody, say, hey, they're live right now. Bishop Hamilton's live, and he's got the incomparable Giovanni Oates with him live in living color. And
yes, sir.
This is live. So anyway, we thank God for you all being here. And again, we are coming on tonight to hopefully answer your leadership questions and help you to just do a better job, do a bigger job, do a greater job in everything that you're doing. Very special TNT. So it's almost like I'm being interviewed by Giovanni, and there's no one better to do this. And I'll say this real quickly. She's the one that's responsible for TNT in the first place. So it's all her fault. All that we've been doing. But when I began to work with Guru Virtual Assistant 4 years ago now, I believe.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. 4 years ago.
Already.
Wow. And she was suggesting that I go live often. And I thought I was going to be able to go live once a month and that would be it. But she said, no, you need to do it every week. And so here we are. So praise the Lord, everybody. And she's done a remarkable job. And all of that we've been doing with Steve Hamilton Ministries over the last few years has been because of the excellent work, outstanding work, all the great pictures, all that stuff. It's all this lady right here. So if you are in the market for a virtual assistant, you cannot do any better than Giovanni Oates and Guru Virtual Assist, sponsored by, but no, they've done an excellent job. And so I'm just grateful that she has the time to come on and share some things with us and make this happen. But I'm grateful for all of you. Audrey, good to see you. Chandrella, good to see you. Steve, hey man. Veronica, bless you. And Selma, good to see all of you on with us tonight. And again, call everybody, tell everybody they are live, living color. Tell the folks that have finished watching the PAW convention that they can join us now, that we are live in California, see.
Right. We're still up.
So y'all stay up for a while with us. And and if you do, and those of you that do have ministry questions that you want to ask and you didn't get them in at our website, you can jump on. You can actually send them now, and we will get them to you. We have Sister Tara is running the board back there. She's on the wheels of steel, making it happen, and the engineer for this, producing it. So we're going to jump in here and get started. So, ladies and gentlemen, Giovanni Oates, and she's going to be asking the questions, and I'm going to be giving the answers by the help of the Lord, I think.
All
ladies
right.
and gentlemen, evangelist.
The Lord is on your side, Bishop. You got this. Praise the Lord, everybody. I'm so excited to be on and to just to be with Bishop. And I've been knowing Bishop for over 20 years when you first were the PYPU president over the California District Council. So it's been years. So I am just thrilled to be on with you. And so let's get to it because we have a lot to talk about. We have some questions already been submitted. So you all hold on to your seats. And if you have any questions, please please submit them. So let's
Oh,
start here.
real quick, let me just say this. I give a shout out to Tanya Harden, to District Elder Sean Goodrich, Barbara Wilson.
Yes, hey, Barbara.
Amen. All of y'all. Amen. Just got to give y'all some love real quick. All right. All right. Lady G, it's all on you.
Let's do it, sir. Let's do it. So, Bishop, for the past couple of days, I would say a couple of weeks, I've been hearing the word thrive, even the word pivot as well. I've been hearing it more and more and more. And it's a good thing. It's an absolute good thing. But the truth is, you've been talking about thriving for some time now. Last year, when the pandemic happened, you were talking about thriving and even pivoting during that time. So, Bishop, talk to us. First of all, why were you inspired? First of all, with the theme thrive. And then why is it critical for now for leaders? Why is it critical that our leaders, they must thrive?
Well, I think that, as you said, going back to last year during the pandemic and during the shutdown, and the first thing was that we had to pivot. The first thing was we had to pivot, and most pastors did. Most of us were trying to figure out a way to operate in the online space, and those that didn't have an ongoing or existing online ministry were trying to figure out how to get something started and try to get it, operating efficiently. But then that was an immediate pivot that all of us had to go through. And then it became apparent that not only could we pivot and keep adjusting as we were going, but then the Lord, I believe maybe November, maybe September of last year, it was like, okay, not only can you pivot and adjust, but now the Lord is saying, I'm setting you up so you can actually thrive in the midst of this pandemic, in the midst of all the stuff that's going on around us, all the things that happen, with the racial unrest and all the major things that happened around the world last year. It was like, I'm setting you up so you can thrive in 2021. And so I shifted my thinking. And I think what happened with me was that I believe that as a visionary, you can't be so tied to your past that you don't see something coming and you don't understand that a lot of the things that happen are great opportunities for the Lord to show his hand. So the Lord put that in my spirit that not only should we survive something, but that we should also be able to thrive in it. And so that was kind of the inspiration. And I'm like you, I did start seeing that pop up a bit. I saw pivot popping up. Not that I was the first one to say it or the only one, but I just think it's interesting that I think it's a tribute to when you put something, some quality out there, it's going to inspire people. And so it'll light a little spark under them, and they may borrow a title or some have even borrowed the name of my church. But anyway, that's a whole other.
And that's all right. It just lets us know we're moving in the right direction.
Let me know that I had the mind of God. And so, but I think that we have to start shifting our mind to just not from just surviving to thriving and growing and excelling in this climate, because a lot of people are thriving now.
Yes, that's awesome. And one thing I like about when you talk about the word thrive, a lot of people see it. The definition talks about growing vigorously and to reach a desired level of accomplishment. But the one that I like is just making steady progress. Sometimes we think that we just have to win it all and have to have it all figured out. But it's about just making progress, little here, little there, where you're not stagnant, where you're just not sitting still, moving forward. First of all, having the mind to move forward despite
that's what the Lord told the children of Israel when they were at the Red Sea and the Egyptians were behind them and they were wanting to go back to Egypt. And the Lord told Moses to tell my people to move forward, tell them to move on, keep going. And that was what I think that we have to just kind of keep pushing. It's tough as a leader, though, as an entrepreneur, as a pastor, as a preacher, and then just as a leader in whatever community you're in. It's tough to keep that motivation, keep that inspiration going, but you have to do it because it's critical for us to in order to be able to take people with us, and get the people that are following us where God wants them to go. So that's the important thing for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this forum, this platform is for leadership development. But sometimes people think, oh, this is only for those who are in ministry. But
Right.
no, if you are a leader in your home,
Right.
if you are a leader in the community, if you are a leader in any capacity, this is for you. And you're going to hear something good that's going to help you. So if you have a question, feel free to go ahead and put it in the chat, and we will most definitely look out for them. Now, I do want to ask you this. Did you think COVID-19 was a hoax? Did you think it was a hoax, or did you think
No.
it was short term? Okay.
I never thought it was a hoax. I never looked at it like it was not possible. I believed it was real. And I think the moment that I believed it was real was when the NBA shut down. The moment I'm like, well, this must be a serious thing, because ain't no way in the world they're going to miss out on all the money that they're making. But that was the moment where I think not only I did, but it seemed like a lot of people realized, okay, this is something more than just the flu or something like that. But it was something that was going to be really serious. But I never bought into it's a hoax, or they're just making it up, or no. There are way too many people being affected by it, and too many people that unfortunately passed away because of it. So. But no, I wasn't one of them preachers.
I get you. I get you. I hear you. I hear you. As a leader, you work as a pastor. You are a bishop. You have those who you are leading. What was the biggest adjustment that you have to make? I'm going to ask you ministry-wise, and then I'm going to ask you personally. What's the biggest adjustment that you have to make?
To be honest with you, ministry-wise, it was, it's going to sound weird, but it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. I think the biggest adjustment turned out to be having to figure out what to do with our Palmdale location, because we had, we were one church in 2 locations. And when the shutdown occurred, then it was, okay, how do we, what do we do with that? And we couldn't, of course, have services then. I will tell this, and my staff and people know that at first we were still like, okay, we can have Bible study in person in Palmdale. We can still have Bible study in person in San Fernando. And then on back-to-back nights, we had incidents in both locations where it seemed like somebody could have brought COVID, might have brought COVID. Thank God nobody got sick, but it was just like an alarm situation. And so my Sister Tara and Sister Barbara know, I was like, okay, wait a minute, we're shutting this down for real. And so then it was kind of an easier transition. It was just a matter of what are we going to do with that location. Because what we began to do in San Fernando was do the kind of service we were always doing at 8:30 in Palmdale. We were having a more abbreviated service, but it's full service, but it was more abbreviated than the one in San Fernando. So all we did was brought the abbreviated service to San Fernando and streamed it and began to stream that. So then it just so people that were watching didn't necessarily know that there was anything different. They didn't notice anything really different about our worship. So then it was just a matter of making sure that the congregation, it was merely trying to encourage them and hopefully make sure they stayed safe and did what they had to do, because I just didn't want to have anybody in our congregation get sick because of that, even though I think we probably did have a couple of people that ended up having it but recovering, so thank God. But that was the biggest adjustment. It was more of a mental and spiritual adjustment that we had to have for the congregation to get them focused on just receiving the word and staying connected. That was the challenge.
Okay. And so something, obviously that's about COVID, but something of that magnitude when you're dealing with news and you have to communicate it to the congregation. How did you approach it? How did you communicate that information to the congregation? I heard you say you talked about it, but what was your approach?
Well, my approach became one of always being calm. And that's like the main thing that was trying to make sure that I wasn't stirring up, because you have people that, and we dealt with this over the years with all kinds of different news and all kinds of different stuff that's happened where you like, am I going to be a person that, brings water to the fire, or am I going to bring gasoline to the fire? And so I'm more of the water person, or sand or whatever, to try to put it out and to calm people down. And I think that especially early on, it was trying to just keep everybody calm, keep everybody reassured. And as far as and I have an excellent group of people around me. My staff is amazing. And they, we just pulled together. We have a way of pulling together really quickly. And so we had about I remember one time I think I sent you the video or something and you were like, oh, so have you guys reopened already? If you have a full congregation? And I was like, no, that's just like 10 people down here, at the church. But what we were doing was, it seemed like there were more people because our staff knows how to pull together and just looks out for our congregation to make sure that, whatever the Lord's leading me to do is implemented. And so we were really fortunate to have a lot of things in place. But it was just, and I've found that over, the years, I think whatever has happened, the Lord had already had me in a vein where I try to calm everybody down. I try to be that, reassuring. Now I may be going crazy, inside.
But don't show it.
But I'm going to try to, give that kind of reassuring kind of, and it was the same thing in my home, our family. I have 2 millennials that are, or maybe they're Gen X. I don't know. I think they're millennials. Yeah, they're millennials. And so I had 2 of them, 2 adults in my home, and along with my wife and I. And so the challenge was, okay, how do you keep everybody calm without everybody, so making sure they don't panic. And so it was uncharted territory, that was for sure. But we and so that was a big pivot that I had to make at home, the personal one. Right. But and then looking out for my mom and just siblings and all that kind of stuff. But that was the challenge. And thank God although we're still dealing with it, we're coming through it, but that was the thing. I've always been more of I don't want to be the person that stirs up more trouble. And that's also on social media and other places. I don't necessarily comment on everything that's going on,
That's good. That's good.
Because I don't, sometimes there's so many voices out there. I don't think it needs another one. So I'll just let that go. That's kind of my stance.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom for sure. No doubt. Church, when I tell you, Bishop sent me the clip and he was preaching like it was a revival going on. And I said, oh, the doors are open. Okay, he's like,
wow. He the other folks in there.
Yes, he was preaching like that house was full. But that's what we have to do. We have to have confidence in what we're preaching. And I think that as leaders, it has taught us something because we are so used to the organ. We're so used to the feedback. And we're so used to having that immediate response. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I thank God for that. But Bishop was preaching, church. Bishop was not holding back. He was letting
I give it all I got. I don't,
Yes,
because
sir.
I heard Bishop Jake say it before, several occasions when he was talking about, and you can see Bishop Jakes in his big, huge, Potter's house. He's preaching, and there's literally a handful of people in there, and he's just going in like, it's, he's at the stadium somewhere. But he said, I'm used to preaching the empty seats. I started off preaching the empty seats, and so when you come up in a small church, you're used to, a handful of people. So I was just like, no. And then I've also understood that when you're doing online ministry, you have to look at that. You have to see those people that are out there watching, and so I'm preaching to them, and I'm believing that they're saying amen in their house. So,
come on, sir. I got you. So let me ask this. Of course, we have experienced so much loss. There has loss of loved ones, friends and families, neighbors, and things of that nature. Loss of jobs, businesses. We had plans that we had to cancel because of all the things that have taken place. And it looks like nothing good has come out of this. My question to you is, has anything good come out of this? Do you see any good coming out of this?
I really actually I do see some good that's come out of it. I think that and the way that I look at that is, I think that a lot of the things that we do in church are stuff that we enjoy, but not necessarily stuff that brings people closer to God. And I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's, and I think there's a lot of stuff that we just like doing that the Lord doesn't have necessarily anything to do with. And so I think with the when everything shut down, I looked at it as an opportunity for many folks to actually engage with the online community, because believe it or not, in-person church attendance was in the decline anyway. Was on the decline anyway, and most churches would not acknowledge that. Most people were just going to keep on going, and I think it forced people to think about or to pivot in a real sense and think about their online audience. That being said, I think that there's a lot of systems, or let me put it this way, there are a lot of old wineskins that were burst during the pandemic. And I think that how we respond moving forward is going to be the key to whether some people survive or not, to be very honest with you. And so I think that a lot of good came out of it. I think in terms of being able, I look at our church and we've been able to reach so many more people online than we have ever reached, especially when you're talking about Bible studies. We have a small group Bible study on Zoom on Monday night, and we have our Bible study on these platforms on Tuesday nights. And the numbers of people that are on there and engaging with us every week have risen tremendously. Even our podcast, when we started, we've been doing our sermons on, Podbean, and so people can, and now we're seeing a lot of downloads. Sister Tracy Willis has put our church on TikTok.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
TikTok. But we are seeing like hundreds and hundreds of people that are tuning in to our clips on TikTok. And it was like, really, I was just like, I was on TikTok because I just go on there just to see these videos and music stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And all of a sudden I saw myself preaching. I'm like, wait a minute, when did this happen? But then people are really, she showed me the numbers of the people that are viewing it. And it's tremendous. And you realize this is what we're really supposed to be doing, is trying to reach people with the gospel. And I think to a certain extent, church kind of turned into a little club, a little clique where we all know one another and we all come together and we're not doing what we were called to do, which is go into all the world. So I think that the online ministry has allowed us to go all over the world. We have people from all around the world that tune in. And so I'm like, I think it's a good thing. And we've learned how to come into a more modern age in giving, in worship, all those things. And so I think that's a good thing. I think that's some good that came out of it. Definitely.
I love that. I agree with you. It caused us to challenge and to question some of the things that we were doing. And was it really necessary? So was this the leading of the Lord, or is this our doing, where we were comfortable, or something process and systems that we've had from years ago, and we never questioned it, but we were comfortable. And we just
and the only answer they would give is, well, that's how we've always done it.
Right.
My staff would say, that's one of the worst things you could ever tell me. And we don't know why we're doing something. Well, that's just the way we've always done things. Let's make sure we reevaluate that. So I think that was, if nothing else, it gave us an opportunity to reevaluate some things. for sure.
Outstanding. And I heard something else that you said, that you tried different platforms. And I think that it's so important that we cannot stay where we are. We have to try different things to make sure that we are going where the people are. In business, I tell my clients is that we have to go where the client is.
Right.
So you can't expect for the people to come to the building or to come where you have to go where they are, and have the confidence as you go. God is going before you. So I love your willingness.
Some of the things one of the things that Kerry Newhoff says, and both of us, of course, love him, but one of the things he says is everybody you want to reach is online. Everybody you want to try to reach is online. So you need to go and be in that space where they are, so that you can be able to help people. And if we can do that, then I don't see any downside to that. And I think that too often church folks, I was thinking about this today, and that a lot of times church folks they worship the building. They worship that facility, and pastors love their buildings and love having people pack into a facility. And with what has happened, I think that if that's your measure for whether you're effective or not, you're going to be disappointed, because the days of people just packing into a building are over. But you can still go where they are, and they'll still take time to listen to you, to watch you, during the course of their Sunday or whatever day it is, and they'll be blessed by what you have to say, and they'll get closer to Jesus. That's really what we're supposed to be doing anyway.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And make sure you're saying something, because you don't have a whole lot of time.
Come on. That's it. Yeah.
They will get the swipe on you. Leaders, make sure you're going
they will walk away from your preaching.
Yes, Bishop, you brought up Kerry Newhoff, and I'm going to go there, and I have a couple of questions here from the audience, and we're going to answer that. But I want to touch on this very quickly. Yes, both you and I love Kerry Newhoff, who is, for those who may not know, he is a church strategist, and he just gives so much insight. He made a statement that ministries are eager to go back into the building and re-embrace a model of ministry that no longer exists. I'm gonna read it. Ministries are eager to go back into the building and re-embrace a model of ministry that no longer exists. Do you agree with this statement?
I agree with that. I think I might have, even when he said that, I might have retweeted it. But I really agree with it wholeheartedly, because one of the problems we have is that, and I've thought about the other day, I was thinking about how leaders are frustrated, and I talk to pastors, and I've encountered them, and I get it. I get their frustration, but then the Lord was telling me the reason they're frustrated is because they can't do what they used to do. Right. In other words, they can't go back to that old model. They can't jump back into that. And like you said, as Kerry said, it's a place that no longer exists. They're trying to go back into something that doesn't exist anymore, won't work anymore. But we love it, and we love that old thing. And I was thinking, the thought came to my mind. I said, we always are. Preachers love preaching about, behold, I'll do a new thing. And we'll shout on that, a new thing. God's going to do a new thing. But you cannot embrace a new thing if you're so tied to the old thing. You can't think, well, okay, God's doing a new thing and he's going to force it on me. No, he's doing a new thing, but you're going to have to let go of what you had. And sometimes that is painful. Sometimes that is troubling for us, because we like things and we're comfortable with it, and we know how to make that work. We love all the stuff that goes with it. But those that are really going to be those that are visionaries are already my friend Bishop R.C. Blakes many years ago made a statement. He said that visionaries visit their future often. In other words, as a visionary, you go into that space as often as you can, because you're excited about it. You're like, oh, this is what's coming. This is what God is doing. And I think that if we're going to be, successful entrepreneurs, successful pastors, successful leaders, we're going to have to see where God is going and not be so focused on where God has been. Where this is what we used to do. And the Lord, even as he was, the thought came to my mind, we have to be more Joshua generation than Moses generation.
Okay.
Leaders. The Moses generation, they had these great miracles that were done coming out of Egypt, throughout the wilderness, all those things. But if you were going to actually go into the promised land, there had to be a different mindset. And we have to have more Joshua leaders. And unfortunately, I think sometimes we have Moses leaders that are wanting to go back to the days of, hey, we got manna coming from heaven. We had a good shouting time today, and you can have a good shouting time, but you just may not see the people shouting. You're gonna see them in there; they're gonna be shouting at all. But you understand they're shouting though; they're being blessed. That's the main thing.
I think that's awesome, Bishop, what you're saying. So let me ask this. Let's say from a staff perspective, I am on staff. How does someone who is younger and they see the need for change in the ministry, how do they approach the older saints, the older leadership, to encourage them and to let them know of the dire, the necessary, the important, the need to shift, to thrive, and to move into the new direction? Because I feel that most of the time they see a decline. The decline is there, and it's not that they love the ministry. They want to see the ministry flourish, but they see so much opportunity. So how does that staff member, how does that individual approach their leader?
And I think it's important as a staff member, and I like I said, I've been in the position of the staff member, the associate minister under a pastor that was, and when I had no idea I was necessarily taking over the church. But the church was in decline. It was very clear. I remember sitting in service early in 1991, the year that I ended up becoming the pastor, sitting in service in the audience and just like, wow. I mean, it was nobody but, older senior people that were in the congregation. And I was sitting there wondering, what am I doing here? I was like 27, 28 years of age. But I knew that as the year went on and my pastor was letting me, he's like, look, you're going to preach this Sunday morning, just, drop of the hat, but no preparation. What we began to do, and I started doing even before I became a pastor, but definitely after I became the pastor, was I was gathering the younger people and galvanizing them to be pillars, in the church and trying to keep them encouraged. And I think a lot of what my ministry was about early on was just encouraging not only the younger people, but also encouraging the older people that things were going to get better. But I think as a staff person, what you have to do is always have support for the leader, but then at the same time, give them some, inspirational nuggets, if you will, some ideas of, maybe we can, and do it in a respectful way. I think that the older generation kind of pulls back whenever it seems like it's going too fast, when things are happening too quickly. But at the same time, you have to make sure you're making progress. Otherwise, you're going to lose the young people. Yes. And so when I became the pastor, I understood, actually before I became the pastor, when I was just preaching every Sunday, I understood there were, I've said this many times in teaching it, but there were 3 different groups of people I was dealing with. I was dealing with the people that had stayed through everything as the church was declining and as the membership was dropping off. Then there are people that had left but started coming back when they heard that Steve was preaching now. So, okay, Steve's preaching, so I'm going to come back and check this out. Then we had a group of people that were brand new people that had no idea who, what had gone on before that. And so you're preaching to these 3 different groups. And so the gospel is something that can reach everybody. So as long as you stay focused on preaching the gospel, then they'll allow the young people to come in and bring some different ideas and different concepts, because they won't throw it away as long as it's respectful of their, the older people. It's just like something you try to learn how to, let's not do something too quickly. You don't turn, you don't turn a big aircraft carry around just like that. You're like hit a corner. You gotta show enough pivot and take your time. And that's the way it has to be when you are in a position where you're trying to keep the older people inspired and then keep the young people engaged. And that's the balance you have to work out. Keeping the young people engaged enough to say, okay, we're making some progress. Because if you start making progress, they'll hang in there with you, and then they'll become the pillars after the older person decides, okay, we're going to turn the keys over to you. But you got to make sure you got a firm foundation. Don't neglect the foundation, but make sure you are making some progress to get people where they. And that's the same way in business. It's the same way when you're leading your group or even in your family. Look, we got to make some moves here that are going to help all of us, and you got to show them that it's going to help everybody in the long run. That's the main thing I think we should do.
I think that's awesome. A couple of things that I heard was, first of all, we've got to keep their agenda first. Keep them and have that respect for them. Have that respect for them as we make the suggestions, and be patient. Because I can only imagine. Let me say this. I know how it is. I know how.
Yeah, but see, also the thing is, help them shape their agenda.
Okay. Okay.
Helping them in shaping their agenda. My pastor and it was a matter of trust. My pastor trusted me enough to where I could bring in a speaker on a Sunday without, giving a month-long, explanation about, we got so-and-so coming in. Of course, not that I didn't tell him, but it was a matter of, okay, we're going to plan this. And, if it's all right with you, we're going to have, and he was like, no problem. That's why after a while, that's why sometimes during the year in 1991, he'd lean over and ask me, who's preaching today? And I'm like, you are. And then he'd tell me, well, I don't feel like it. You go and preach. So then I would be ready to preach. But then at the same time, he had respect enough and trust enough in me that, okay, Hamilton's not going to bring anybody in here crazy. So it's going to be something that's going to help all of us. So they've got to build that relationship with him.
I think that's awesome. And I'll say that I've been there before. I've been there where before the pandemic took place, we had our older generation. They were kind of doing their thing. And then we had the younger generation doing their thing. And I would say that even though there was respect, we did not see the value of what each group could bring and to contribute. And what helped us was we had a forum. We had a church forum, and it was just talking about the importance and the concern. It was the foundation, and it was a common denominator that everybody wanted to see the ministry flourish. But it was more important for everyone to come together and be on the same page. Everyone to listen. The adults, the older group had to listen to the younger, and the younger had to understand that they had to be patient and wait. And let's make sure we're all moving together.
Well, that's it. Yeah, and that's the thing. And what you guys did that's important is communicate. Not only saying what you want to say, but also listening to what the other group is saying. It's important to have, and you can't be so tied up to your method that you miss what the message really is. The message is, okay, we the foundation is the doctrine. We're not going away from that, but how we get there, how we get more people to engage, and how we reach people, that has to change. And that's the thing that I think has been shaken the most with the shutdown, with the pandemic, with everything that's happened. A lot of folks are really in love with their method.
Okay.
A lot of leaders were in love with how they did things. And when they couldn't do things the way they wanted, they were stuck. And they're like, okay, what do I do now? How do I don't like operating in this space. I can't tell you the number of pastors that, and it's surprising. Some of them is like, wow, you have this huge church, but they're like, how do you talk to a camera and not to actual people? How can you, and so they were tied to their method and how they had their script down. They knew exactly, how to run that service and make it happen. And that show, and I'm sorry to say it like that, but they were tied to the show. And when they couldn't put the show on, they were like, I don't know what to do. Well, you go back to just basics. You go back to just talking and sharing the gospel with people. So.
I hear you. I hear you. There is a quote that says, crisis is a cradle for innovation,
Hmm.
and the future belongs to the innovators.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
quote.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
Hmm.
You're going to say something. Go
No,
ahead.
that's absolutely true. What is it? Yeah, yeah. But the crisis will always bring. It'll show you what it'll show you what you're capable of. A lot of
Okay.
times you don't know exactly what you're capable of until you have to make a decision. You have to make a move. You can't just stay there. Something you had said earlier about being stuck, and so many ministries have been stuck. And I think that's I think another good thing that came through out of the pandemic and out of the shutdown was it pushed us, it nudged everybody into rethinking some things and trying something different. Because some of us would never have tried anything. Some folks were just anti. Some folks were anti. Oh, no social media. I ain't getting on the Facebook, and
Yes.
I don't want that. Then all of a sudden, right after the shutdown, please tune into our stream that's going to be happening this Sunday. They were like, okay, wait a minute, but you're pushing stuff away. But you realize this was a vehicle. Every week when I'm praying, especially with our small group Zoom Bible study, I'm thanking God. I pray for the group as we go into our lesson, but I thank God for the Lord allowing us to come together on this platform.
Yeah.
On this, in other words, Lord, you
Yeah.
have created a way for us to still be connected to one another, still get the word. And
Yeah.
you're right, it makes you innovate. It makes you, okay, let me see what, how can we stream to, as Sister Tara would tell you, we were like, okay, how can we stream to all these different places at the same time? And I would call Tracy or somebody like, okay, how do we do this? And what's the
You got
best
to figure it
way?
out. Let's
We
work it
have to
out.
figure this out. So, okay, how can we do it? Go live, but it all worked out because now we're able to stream on all these different platforms. We can go Steve Hamilton Ministries, we can go to my personal page, we can go to the church page, all at the same time. Go to YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're everywhere right now because we were able to innovate, look stuff up. How do we do it? A lot of times I'll say, well, I don't know how we can record this, and then Tara will be like, okay, hold on, I'm looking. I'm looking it up, and we'll work it out. We figure out how to get things done, and that's why you have to surround yourself with people that won't let you stay stuck. They'll be able to tell you, hey, this is how we're going to do this. This is what we're going to do to try to make it work. And so it happens all the time. We work it out, and I think that's what a lot of pastors needed, that nudge or that push to actually change.
That's good. That's good. And we right now are in a time where there are unlimited resources.
Right.
If you need to learn how to do something, YouTube. YouTube has
Right.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you need to learn how to cook a turkey.
You got these videos. Oh, that's how you do that. Okay,
It's on there.
Yeah, got it.
But even from a digital perspective, anything
Mhm.
that you need to know, it is on YouTube.
Yep,
And I
yep.
want to encourage that pastor or that team,
Mhm.
because a lot of times we look at what everybody else is doing. We are looking at, I want to give a shout out to Pastor Chris Foster, does a phenomenal job when it comes to relaying his message and getting out there. And I just admire.
Chris is putting on a production every week, and it's excellent.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. But you know what? That's Chris Foster. That's his ministry, and it's okay. I don't have to be him or duplicate what he's doing, and another leader does not have to duplicate that. It's okay for you to be you, and you to find out what God wants you to be. We're so busy comparing ourselves and saying, okay, we're not good enough, but that is far from the truth. You may not have all the equipment, you may not have all those things, but work with what you have.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. I tell my friends, they're trying to, oh man, I can't do that. And I'm like, one of my friends called me like shortly after the shutdown, was all over the country, and was like, well, how do you do, Steve? You've been doing this for a while. And I was, because I've been doing TNT for a while. And they were like, how do you do that? And I'm like, just be yourself. I said, I mean, even with the T-shirts every Thursday night, I know, and Lady G was like,
like, that's what you wearing?
that would work, but it worked. You know, I mean, you know, it was just like because I did a demo for her. She was like, "Okay, I don't know about the T-shirt." I had a Marvin Gaye T-shirt on, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that." But here we are, all these years later. But what I'm saying is, it was just part of this is my being myself. The little music intro, all this stuff. This is just how and it had to help make me feel comfortable. That's what I told him. I said, if you're comfortable, then the people will be comfortable watching you. But if you look like you are like, you know, doing a hostage video, then now we're in trouble. Now,
just like a robot, right?
I was like, oh my God. I mean, blink a couple of times, let us know you're okay. You know, it's like, dude, you're going to be all right. So,
Bishop, let me tell you, when we started, we had an iPhone. We had iPhones everywhere, right? And that's all we had. And then over time, well, let me say this. I want to thank God because our young adults, they stepped up big time. That's what our forum did for us. Our young adults, they said
they took it and said, this is what we'll handle. We'll handle this, make sure it gets streamed, make sure it gets out. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. And our pastor finally understood, you know, I trust them. I trust them. And so we come in and we just fold our little arms and we just wait for the media team to say no. But without them, we would not be where we are. And it took us some time to get there. It took us some time to upgrade our equipment. It took us some time to find the systems that work for us. We went through several different ones, but we didn't stop. We tried this and it didn't work, so we went to something else.
Okay, let's try something else. And that's the thing. That's the beauty of it. It's like you have an opportunity to find out what works for you best. It's the same thing with businesses. And, you know, some things work really well for other people and it may not fit your business model. It may not fit your personnel. It may not, you know, but you find out what works for you and you jump on it and you stay with it. It's just like preaching. You know, everybody, you know, Lord knows, you know, we got people that we love and admire. And of course we borrow something from everybody, you know, but at the same time, after a while, you have to develop your own voice, your own style, and it becomes effective. Then people are looking at, okay, I got, you know, I'm getting the word every week, and that's what's going to make it work for them. So, you know, we're gonna be fine, y'all. We got to keep working, keep doing it, keep trying.
Yes, and help is available. Don't be afraid to ask. I think that's one of the biggest things. We can't be afraid to, hey, sis, you know, how are you doing this? How did you work that out? Don't be afraid to ask because there's somebody who's out there who's been where you are and is willing to support you in that area. Bishop, let's talk to the entrepreneurs for a second.
Okay.
Our entrepreneurs took a hit. Businesses were shut down. Businesses financially, they took a hit. Tell me, is it over for the entrepreneur? Is there any opportunities? Talk to us.
No, I think that it's a good question. I think that I found that folks that are, again, going back to the word you used earlier, innovative and creative. I think that a lot of times we are, you know, I've seen businesses open up during the pandemic, which is interesting. I've seen new things flourishing, and I'm like, wow! It was born during this pandemic season, this 2 years plus, and Lord knows how long we're going to be going in it. But there are still ways for folks to find that they look. This what works for me. There's a local business here, and I wish I could just think of the real name, the name of it, but the Uplift Marketplace and Uplift Us. Thank you, Lord. Thank God, it's good. Uplift Us Marketplace. Young lady in the church, and I've known her almost her entire life. All of a sudden, it was like, okay, she, you know, I thought she was like, oh, support my business, and she hit me on Instagram, and I was like, oh, that's great. You know, I'm thinking, okay, an online business where she's probably selling stuff, you know, and I was just thinking an online thing. I was sitting and had the TV on during the day, and all of a sudden this commercial came on. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's Kendra. What's going on? It was like she had a commercial on Spectrum TV about her business. And she has a brick and mortar business right there in Granada Hills. And I'm like, wait a minute, where? And so I went on a Facebook page and they were like, well, did you see how many of you seen our commercial? And I'm like, I just saw it. And I'm like, this is amazing. I love it. But they opened up, they found a way to be creative, to have a business that's thriving. Now they're getting ready to open up another location in Culver City. And I'm just like, well, this is all coming out of the pandemic. So it's not that you can't have a business and that business can't thrive. It's just a matter of making sure you're finding the right one that's going to work for as many people as possible. It's just like with a church. There are some churches that shut down. There are some churches that lost their, basically lost their buildings and what have you. And then you say, well, wait a minute, does that mean that? No, that means that you have to do ministry in a different way. The business has to operate in a different way. So that means, again, you have to be a visionary and understand, well, this is going to always be necessary. This is going to always be needed. As a pastor, you think, well, people will always need a word. People, so they may not need the food program. They may not need, but they're going to need a word. They may not need the dancers and the flag wavers, but they're going to need a word now. So we have to be able to give them that. And so that's, I think, the message I would send to entrepreneurs, that you may have taken a hit. You may have been stumbled, kind of knocked off your feet for a little bit, but you can still recover. But it's a matter of, okay, what's going to be the thing that our people need to be able to thrive and to moving forward? And that's going to be the thing that you have to tap into, because there will be resources available. People are going to be, and there's going to be, and as long as there's a need that you can fulfill, you have an opportunity to be able to bless some people and to be a blessing and to be blessed yourself as well.
I agree with that 100%, Bishop. Do not let the circumstances, what things are going on right now, fool you. There is money out there that people are ready to spend. If you provide the solution, if you save somebody time, if you make someone's life easier, they will pay premium dollars.
I mean, look at how differently we do everything now. We shop differently. We get our food differently, and we adjust. We deal with, okay, I'm calling up so and so, they're bringing it out to my car. Okay, they're bringing it to. We're going to make sure we bring what you need. And I'm like, look, it's easier for me, and so when you're, like you said, when you make people's lives easier, it becomes more convenient for them. They'll find you. And you give quality, and you're giving them quality. Now don't be opening up no place talking about the folks don't want to support me.
Right. Make sure it's quality and know your value.
There it is.
Know your value, and when you know your value, the right people know where your customer is. Know your value, know your price, and stick with it, and it will work. It will work. And Bishop, was something else that came to my mind is that one thing that we're not good at collaboration. We have to be better at that. Sometimes we're trying to do it all on our own as entrepreneurs, but if we learn the power of collaboration, I know we've had some bad experience in the past, but I think there's a more open mind. And collaboration most definitely can make a difference in a business. So that's something to think about.
Yeah, work with somebody.
Yes.
Talk to people and listen.
Yes, sir. You all have been so patient with us, and I know that we've gone on longer than we normally do. We do have some other things, but we're going to wrap this up with this one or two more questions, and we're going to let you go. And thank you so much for sticking with us, and for you all who have submitted this information. Bishop, we'll have to be honest. The way things are going, there is a great possibility that we might have another shutdown. Folks don't want to wear their mask. This Delta variant is out. We're dealing with a serious thing. So how can we prepare ourselves? How can we prepare ourselves to deal with this possibility that we might be back in the shutdown?
The key word is flexibility.
Okay.
You have to be, as leaders, you have to be flexible. Since we have experienced it before,
Mhm.
we can quickly. And one of the things I think that as we reopened our sanctuary in May. And one of the things that we did when we reopened was I started telling the congregation that on fifth Sundays, we are going to be online only.
Okay. I
And
like that.
so in other words, yeah, we're reopening, but you got to be flexible enough to know that on certain Sundays we're not going to be here, and you got to be okay with certain Sundays we're not going to be open in person. And so it's teaching our folks to be more flexible, to understand, to pay more attention, to be more connected, so you understand when we are open, when we're not. But every fifth Sunday we're going to be, online only. And so it's important that, so if something happens again, if we do have to, shut down, then it'll be a smoother transition. Even though
Okay.
our transition was never really rocky, but I think it'll be a smoother transition because the congregation is used to being able to, okay, all right, we're adjusting, we're pivoting, and we're flexible enough. And again, we're not putting a more of an emphasis on in person than we do
Okay.
online. And I think that's the main thing we're pushing now. Even as our church is redoing our website, we're looking at it as we are, and I think one of the Kerry Newhoff's statements, or maybe somebody connected to him, said, we are, most of the time, churches have been in-person experiences with online expression.
Mm.
And now, because of the shutdown, we became an online experience with in-person expression. And I think it's kind of flipped. So now we have to make sure we understand that we're going to do ministry every week. Now,
Yes. Yes.
how you receive that is going to be, it may change, but we're going to be here. And so, I think that's the main thing, is making sure that you're the leader, their staff, and their members are flexible, and let them know. And as long as you communicate with people, they'll be okay. They should be okay. But I hope we don't have to shut down. But Lord knows.
I know, church. I know. Ooh, well, but the Lord is with us, and I like
Amen.
how you said being flexible, and I love that, because once upon a time we felt that we had to be in church every
Mhm.
single Sunday. We were married to the
Mhm.
building,
Yeah.
and the pastor was afraid that the saints were going to backslide if they didn't make it. One particular.
Yeah.
But the approach that you're taking, I like that, because it strengthens, first of all, it strengthens the online ministry, but it also strengthens the family structure.
Mhm.
Spending time with husbands and wives, spending
Mhm.
time with the children, letting them know that they are important as well.
Mhm.
And that's one of the good things that I think that has come out of the
Yeah.
pandemic, is that it has refortified and put priorities back in order, where we were
Mhm.
just so out of balance, and now we're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
get back in balance.
Yeah.
So I
No,
think that,
and it makes you, and it really, see, the thing is, if the Holy Ghost can't keep you, ain't nobody gonna be kept. so,
well,
so the building, being in church every night is not gonna keep you holy. So you have to make sure that and the pandemic made people have to seek God. They had to be intentional about
yes,
it, because a lot of it was ritualistic. Okay, I'm gonna go to church on Sunday, blah blah blah. But now I gotta make sure I tune in
yeah,
the worship. I got to make sure that, because if not, I'm gonna miss it. And even now, as we've come back, our service is like, okay, you got to be here by a certain time. You got to be in. If you're coming in person, you got to be here by a certain time, because the gate's gonna be locked and the door's gonna be locked. Because once we start streaming, we want everybody to be in the sanctuary for the stream, so we don't have to have people that are checking you in and all that stuff. So it puts more of a demand on you to be intentional about your worship, and that's fine. I think it's important for us to make sure we are maturing.
yes. Ah, come on, sir. Yeah, dropped in the
And
book.
making sure that we are, making sure that we're taking responsibility for our relationship with the Lord.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you all, thank you so much for allowing me to be with you all on this evening. I'm just honored to be able to speak to our bishop and him share his wisdom with us. It's important that we reach out, and he's been in this for some years, and so I hope that you heard something that has blessed you, that has encouraged you, and that you know that that God is still working. God is in the midst of all of this, and He is receiving glory. It may not look like it, but God is receiving glory. He's shaking some things up. Amen. And He's putting us in the place where He wants us to. So again, thank you so much for your time. And Bishop, I'm gonna just let you close us out.
Okay, let me say this. I wanted to real quickly say something. I know there's been a lot in the news lately about mental health and with Simone Biles and all that kind of thing. And I think that one of the things that pastors might be feeling right about now, and leaders might be feeling right about now, is you're tired, you're fatigued. And I want to encourage people to make sure you do rest. We did the series about take care of you, take care of yourself. But I think it's important to emphasize that we have to learn how to take a break, learn how to rest our minds, because your ideas are going to be a lot better. Trust me, when you have gotten some rest, your thinking's going to be a lot clearer. You're going to be more, you're going to be sharper. And so I'm encouraging leaders to take some time to just rest, to regroup, to refresh yourself, walk away from stuff for a minute, just do something different and make sure that you are allowing your brain some time to reset. And that's going to help you be able to finish this year strong. And that's another thing we're trying to do too, is I'm going to be doing that, taking a little rest, taking a little break from teaching, at least for the month of August. And I'm, been working on some mental health stuff, and a lot of things that you all were, when you saw the pictures the other week about with me in the studio looking like I'm shooting a documentary of some sort. But what we're doing is I've been working with the Azusa Pacific professors and working on the team dealing with mental health in the church. And we're going to be having our manuscript is about to be published, and all that good stuff. We're submitting that. And so I was doing video. We're going to be having a website. So it's going to be a place for leaders to be able to, a resource for leaders. So I was doing some videos on starting the conversation in your church about mental health. And the second video was dealing with how to start a mental health ministry in your church. And then my last one was dealing with pastors, dealing with how to pastors self-care. So anyway, that was something I've been working on, and something we're going to be working on throughout the rest of the year. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, we're going to take a little break, but we are going to have TNTs every week, and we're going to have Bible study. I told the group on Bible study night that we're going to be taking a break. We're going to have Bible study every week, Monday and Tuesday. But we're going to be dipping into the archives a little bit. So we're going to have some greatest hits. So hopefully it'll be something that you'll want to tune into again. But make sure you guys are taking a break and getting some rest. Yeah. I love you all. Thank you guys for your patience tonight. I hope this blessed you. If you liked it, if you were blessed, share it. If you want to be a blessing to Steve Hamilton Ministries, there's places to give if you want to give. I'll probably have to slide Giovanni some money. No. I thank God for her time and her. And so let's give her a round of applause too for being here and being so.
God bless you, everybody. God bless you all.
But I love y'all. Get to somebody's church, either in person or online Sunday, please. Giovanni is a member of her dad's church and an associate minister assisting her father in San Diego, Shiloh Temple, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Her dad, the great district elder Oates, is a great leader, and man, I've known a long, long time. He used to let me come preach when I was a young whippersnapper back in the day, before I really knew how to preach good. But he was kind to me. Yeah. But and so give love to their family and to their church, and we appreciate you being able to take some time with us. And God bless y'all. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye.
Stay safe. wash your hands, wear your mask, socially distance, get the vaccine.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Good night.